you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is a profile on Mayor PBredesen, the mayor of Nashville, Tennessee. And of course, we have with us in the studio Mayor PBredesen. And of course, Mayor, let me welcome you to the show this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Haney. Have been, what's this, the fourth show we've done together? That's right.
And it's certainly a privilege to have you here to sort of do what we believe would sort of characterize this show, and that is to sort of sum up the administrations that you've had here at Nashville. As a matter of fact, I think, Mayor, you will recall that shortly after you announced for the mayor of Nashville that you were a guest on one of our earlier shows, and you gave us a lot of information about your background, your education, and that kind of information. And certainly there are still a large number of Nashvillians who might not know you from that perspective. And so let's start by having you to talk about your background, your education, some of the things that were important, and some of the things that were in a real sense motivated in making you decide to run for the mayor of Nashville, Tennessee. Let's do it from that perspective. I think that will sort of help us to summarize it.
It's, I grew up in a small town upstate New York, and a very small town, about 1,100 people. Grew up, lived with my grandmother. She had 11 children, all of whom lived in that town and had families, so that's actually where I should have run for mayor. I might have gotten elected the first time. Went off from there to Harvard, which is where I went to college, and studied physics there, something I, of course, use every day in my job as mayor. And you know, over the years, went out and got involved in the business world, primarily with computers to start with, and had learned a lot about those when I was studying in college, and on into healthcare, and eventually started my own company and grew it up and sold it. You know, I found myself in the late 1980s having had a career in business and having sold my company, and I wanted to I guess to give something back, to decide what I wanted to do, and that maybe could help some people, and decided that I'd like to be mayor. I guess I would have thought when I was in college that it was the federal government that did everything, but as I got, you know, as I learned more about it, I really liked the idea of being in a job where the rubber meets the road, closer to the people, and so I've really enjoyed it. I've been mayor for 7.5 years now, and got a half year to go, and have enjoyed it very much, and I hope people think that I've contributed to the city during the time I've been here.
As a matter of fact, I understand that your last day in office will be in September.
Right.
And I think that will give us an opportunity to look at those administrations, and let's do it from that perspective. I think we've got enough time here to sort of give you an opportunity to reflect on some of the things that you've been involved in, and perhaps many of the things that you've not had an opportunity to reflect upon in quite a while. But to look at it from that perspective, to talk about your two administrations and what you considered to be the major achievements in both those administrations, and there's certain other areas that we'd like to talk about, but from your own perspective and in your own words, from that perspective.
Sure. You know, I think when you're first elected to a job like mayor, there's a certain amount of time where it takes you to get your feet on the ground and understand the levers of the job, particularly if you're from outside the political system, which I was. I'd never held a political office before. Probably the first major thing that I became involved with was really this whole Meharry General merger, and in a way it's what I'm going out working on as well. But that was something that, because I'd been involved in healthcare for a lot of my professional life, was a natural, comfortable kind of thing to do, and I'm very proud of it. I think it's I think that ultimately what we put together was good for General Hospital and helped to ensure its survival. I think it certainly was good for Meharry and helped to solidify and strengthen that institution, and I feel very, very good about it. It's gone along very well.
Now, there's been a recent move in reference to that. What's the most recent development?
Well, the most recent thing was that Meharry and Nashville and Vanderbilt are all working together now as a team. Vanderbilt has been brought in fact, just the other night, the council finally passed all this material. Vanderbilt has been brought in to manage the day-to-day administrative side of the hospital. Meharry will continue to manage the medical side of the hospital. So Vanderbilt sort of substitutes for the city in that regard. I think that'll help everybody a lot, because Vanderbilt doesn't have as many constraints on what they can do as the city has. They can make decisions faster in that environment. They've got a great purchasing program there. They can buy supplies and equipment less expensively than the city can. I think it'll benefit the hospital, and I know that I know Meharry's real happy about it.
Good, very good. So everybody's happy with it in terms of